You know, there's a process Tony Robbins does called the Dickens process, which is like a big transformation process that he takes people through. It usually goes on for around like 90 minutes plus. It's about helping people to release some of their old belief system and implant it with more empowering beliefs. And within that process, there tends to be people have to go through, sit with their pain or what they don't like, and fast forward to see what it would happen if they prolong the same belief system for 10 years, the same limiting belief for 20 years or 30 years. And by then, people are in so much pain. No, I don't want to take it anymore. And so some people I talk to, I find some people will say that I don't really resonate with that process. Like, man, like people are screaming and crying in the background. It's like, ooh, I don't like that energy. And now that I've gone through this spiritual path and redoing that process or being a witness to it, it kind of makes sense. Because especially in shamanic culture and even Buddhism culture, from a young age, we've got certain belief system and value system we've taken on. And especially, hey, you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't be stressed, like you shouldn't be upset, you shouldn't be angry. So we bottle up a lot of the emotions. And in shamanic culture is that if we go through plant medicine or a lot of the even non-plant medicine journey, it teaches you to purge the stuff out. It could be through yawning, it could be through actual vomiting, it could be through a number 2, it could be through sweating, but you have to purge that energy out. If you don't purge it out, it stays in your system and it becomes trapped energy, and that's what Buddhism referred to as samskara. So a lot of people have these outbursts of crying and screaming and yelling at that particular Dickens process because it's part of the purging. If we don't understand it, when you go for ayahuasca or any of the plant medicine, you see people like vomiting. Oh, that's disgusting. If we go to a nightclub, we see people vomiting, whether in the sink or in the bowl or on the floor. It doesn't feel nice. But when we go through the journey, when we actually understand the technology behind it and why people have to purge to get rid of the yuckiness of the energy and the old stories, when you see a friend go through it, you go, or even someone you don't know, wow, I'm glad that person had a good purge. It helped that person detox. Even when the little kids cry, a lot of times we worry and we try to comfort them. Hey, don't cry, it's okay. And it's understandable. But one of the doctors I've talked to, typically a person cannot cry nonstop for 30 minutes long. And when they're crying through their teeth, negative toxins and the energy is actually being dispersed, is being released. So when we teach someone or we try to consult that person to say like, don't cry, we're actually trying to turn off the tap of releasing the negative energy out. So by understanding it, crying is not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually, it can be a positive thing, or even the process in Dickens that people are screaming and yelling or even releasing the anger out. Sometimes if we see our partner or our kids or someone we care about having an outburst, especially if it's directed at us, that's no good. But if we put a different frame, a different lens, and see it in a different perspective, wow, this person is releasing stuff. You can call yourself the punching bag, but imagine that if you're watching TV and someone is like an actor is being paid to say some profanity at you, will we get upset at it? It's just acting. It doesn't really hurt us. Like Tony said, nothing in life has a meaning until we give it a meaning. So what if we give it a meaning that when someone we care about is having an outburst at us, rather than saying that, oh, I don't like it, or I have to enjoy it, or I have to put up with it, wow, I'm helping this person heal. I'm helping this person release their trapped traumas and energies and their stories and their belief system. Isn't that great? I can be a vessel of healing. We talked about, Julie, just before we started this call, it's like energy healing and healers. What if just by that person having an outburst that you may say is unfair, that could be the way that we used to look at it. But when we just breathe and we have a bit of separation and understand that person is actually us, we're all connected. And I'm helping that person heal. I'm helping myself heal. Then you have a different outlook. Like, I'm not trying to like put a positive spin into what this is. This is actually based on the shamanic culture of healing. That's what takes place. When somebody is not just try to bottle up the emotion and just put a poker face on. How are you doing today? I'm good. I'm fine. But just releasing it. But at the same time, not saying that, hey, let's just indulge in just complaining and bitching and moaning. But if it's trapped inside, if you don't release it one way or another, the same situation is going to keep coming up. And so somebody I was talking to in the Dickens process, if you don't release the energy and also the belief system, if you release the energy but your belief system is not being changed, then the same thing is going to happen. Or if you change your belief system but you don't play full out in actually like letting it out, then that same energy is still trapped. And you say, well, I've written in the workbook, consciously you may have made the decision, I'm going to change my mind. I'm not going to hold on to that old belief system that is not going to serve me anymore. Like, I have to work hard to be successful. Like, as an example, you may say, I've changed in the workbook, money comes to me easily and freely. But until you really like play it out, how does it feel energetically that I have to work hard for money and intensify it? Wow, and fully let it out? That energy is still trapped. So that's a part of it. And during that process, like, I've never heard this before. Maybe Tony have said it and didn't hear it, or maybe it's the first time I heard him say it, is that during the Dickens process, when we're coming out, he said, what if all this is part of your spiritual awakening? And I thought, wow, did he just say that? And he continues to describe the spiritual awakening. Like, what if we need to wake up? And this is to help us to awake. And if we're living in paradise, life is good, it doesn't tend to help us to go within, to self-inquire. And often the pain teacher help us to refocus within. What are some of the underlying issues that has not been addressed? What are some of the energies of the past that I've suppressed? I swept it under the carpet and I haven't given it a chance to come out. That is the case. And so it's a beautiful journey like Tony takes his participants through. And a lot of the times that I see as people come out of the event, they'll have an initial high and they'll eat clean for a week, 2 weeks, and then before you know it, it goes back to the same patterns for a lot of the people. Maybe they'll be on a higher level they were previously, but a lot of the times it's the same old and it's the same old. And so revisiting the same topic that we talk about, releasing, what if what we experience each day, the universal consciousness, God, the creator, the divine, is using us as the vessel to experience, because it cannot experience itself without creating the duality, without creating a version of us. Like we've always talked about, light do not truly understand what it is until it created darkness. If you're always in the room of just brightness, what is brightness? I don't know. If you always got sweetness in your mouth and you've never tasted anything other than sweetness, you don't know what sweetness is. But the first time you bit into a lemon, it's like, whoa, I know what not sweetness is now. You bite off a jalapeno, whoa, I know what not sweetness is. But we needed to experience the duality, the polar opposite. So what if in our daily practice, as we have an emotion that arises, I got stressed, it's not our job to ignore it, to suppress it. I shouldn't be stressed. I shouldn't be upset. I'm upset. Let's feel the upsetness and let it flow through you. Not bottle it up and trap it, not put it a magnifying glass and get caught in the mind games of why am I upset? Why am I stressed? I shouldn't be stressed because I did a Tony Robbins event, or I should be this happy person. I've done so much work on myself. Why am I upset? Not getting trapped in that game, but I'm stressed. Feelings of stress. The divine is using me to feel stress. Here you go. And if you continue to focus on this experience in this present moment, you focus on the breath, you focus on the experience, before long, it will just passes through you. And this is not just for negative emotions, even for love. We tend to hold on to love because it's a great emotion. But the longer that we cling on to love, the more that we have a dependency on it. And when it comes to unlove, oh, what is this? Oh, yuck. Oh, like if you were to advise the younger version of yourself, would you advise yourself that, hey, this whole life that you should expect predominantly love, and the yuckiness of non-love is abnormal, it's unusual? That is just setting up someone to live a very unloving, unhappy life. Again, like going back to Tony, trade your expectations for appreciation. If we have so much expectations of what life is about, we needed to have so much love, predominant love, or happiness or joy, or swap it for whatever positive words that you want, for us to be happy, to be like just, in a good state, then we're for a rough ride. What if we can actually learn to surf the wave of emotions? If there's a dip, which is stress, stress, let's ride it. I'm being a conduit for the divine, for God to feel through me. Again, I'm serving in a capacity. If someone is yelling at me that's causing me to be upset, let me serve the divine to feel the upsetness right now in this present moment. Let me serve the person that is yelling at me for them to release. Not saying that we condone to be verbally abused, but I'm talking about in that present moment. Because you can't change that past. You can only live the present moment. Go back to Guru Singh talks about, it doesn't take away your permission, your permit, or your personal mission. It doesn't take that away. It doesn't take the permit for you to continue on your personal mission. And what is your personal mission? If it's your personal mission, part of it is to set healthy boundaries. If you yell at me, I will not engage in conversation with you. That could be a healthy boundary. But we do not need to react. We can surf the wave of emotions. And when it comes, not only it's like, hey, tsunami is coming, like let's just hold on and hope that we can hang on to a pole, hang on to a building, that we don't get swept away from the big wave. Whoa, hang on, brace ourselves. Holy moly, it's coming. But what if we just be with the ocean, like Bruce Lee say, be with water, be like water. I and the water and myself is as one. Let's just experience when a wave hits me, what that feels like. Whoa, that was a strong sensation. I haven't felt that before. And fully experience. Like I'm talking about it so much, it may sound completely like creepy, but almost like, hey, my wife just gone shopping, let her come back for her to try yelling at me, to experience that tsunami to what it feels like. But be careful what you wish for. She may come back with, I don't know, like a $5,000 pair of shoes or something. And that may be the tsunami that I wish for. So I take that back. I wish for just some pleasant surprise. But whatever she does, even if it's a $5,000 pair of shoes, it's like, really be in that present moment. Ooh, 5,000. And just watch, observe my body, my emotions, brewing up, and just feeling it. And if you let it pass, it's now that thinking about it logically, well, so what if I react? What's going to change? If there's less money, there's an extra pair of shoes, it's done. Now that logically thinking, even reacting, that's not going to help anyway. It's going to make the matter worse. So that's pretty much that came to me today that I wanted to share is on the same vein of surrender and letting go, but just a different term today. Just experience and release. Let it flow through you. Just flow. Being in a flow state. If you get intuition that comes through to you, what do you feel like doing right now? Flow with it. Be with the flow. At the same time, if you feel angry, be with the flow, but not get stuck in a flow. Imagine you're on a wave on a surfboard. No, I don't want to move to another part of the wave. I want to have super glue to that part of the wave. How ridiculous does that sound? It's like I'm in a loving state right now. I'm in a good, happy, joyful state. I want to super glue myself to that state. Well, that's not nature. Imagine a plant is growing. You want to try to control exactly how the plants need to grow. You can influence. Hey, it can grow more to this side, the left side, the right side, and then put a stick and get a wire to wire it closer to it. But it still is going to grow in its own way. You can't control exactly how you're going to do it. Just like us, we can influence how we're going to feel most of the time. We can surround ourselves with a more positive environment, with the positive people. But you cannot control. The minute that we think that we have the illusionary control, that, hey, I am meant to control how I feel each day, to be happy, to be loving, to be joyful, to be peaceful all of the time, if not most of the time, that's when the universe will teach us a lesson. You know what? If you have a preference, we got free will, you want to have more love? Yep, go take it. It's like you give your kids certain free will to do certain things. But when they abuse it, when they be on the iPad for too long, when they start to drive too fast, when they start to drink too much, when they start to hang out with the wrong people too much, they say, no, come back. We need to reset now. So the universal intelligence or the divine is kind of the same thing to us. If we get too addicted to anything, including love, this life is not just about love. It's about experiencing ourselves. If we just wanted to experience love, we wouldn't need to create all this. Well, we do, because we needed to know ourselves. And that's how we know about love. But what I'm saying is, if we wanted to experience love as in, oh, well, just like the example we said before, what is sweetness? Or just intellectually knowing, oh, I'm sweetness because someone told me it's sweetness. Someone told me this is love. Without truly going into the darkness, to go into the contrast to see what unlove, what without love is, and you go, wow, this is truly love. That's why we came here. That's why all this negative experience, if we learn to love it, learn that it's there to play a role in assisting us to return home, which is love, then life it will be a lot more flowy, a lot more effortless. We no longer have to control, because we know that life is always there to serve us. Just like the plant and animal kingdoms, despite the number of bushfires that happens, earthquakes, tsunamis, they still continue to thrive after millions of years. It's time for us to learn from nature and just go more with the flow and less with the control.